Good morning, party people. Good morning, everybody. How we doing this Friday morning? Friday. It's Friday, yes, and we are here to see what the market has to offer. Let me make sure I get Instagram up and running. Make sure my people over there can hang out with us if they so choose. I believe I got everything else ready to rock and roll. Jamie is here with us this morning. Woo woo. Y'all do a shout out for Jamie. He's in the studio. Jamie is in the studio. Let me turn on my fan before I start getting too hot. I got me a new fan. I now have two fans. I used to have this big fan over here. It's big. It's like a tower. It ain't that big, but it's, not desktop. But now I got me a desktop fan over here that plugs into my USB port so I can just click it on. Click it on. Good morning, everybody.
All
Let me
right,
see.
Miss Fancy.
No, well, I'm trying to be, cool. That's what I'm trying to be, is not sweaty. Hey, Abra. I mean, when I teach in my class, my college students, I start getting really hot and then my whole face like glistens. And I'm like, I feel self-conscious about it because I'm like, and I start moving because I know I look like I've just gone on the run. And it's like, so I got a little fan that I take. I have one that goes around my neck, but that looks just a little too touristy to be in a classroom with a little fan hanging around your neck. I was like, this right here. I'm really not that old, but I put it on the desk and turn it on so that it at least will blow towards me while I'm there. Y'all see I'm eating my watermelon this morning. Got my yellow watermelon. I did me a bowl full, and the bowl's almost empty. So I'm gonna see how this watermelon fast thing actually goes. I'm gonna see how it goes. Okay, so on our screen, I do want to make sure that we incorporate Pan W into our talks today. But I'm gonna tell you, my stomach is full with this watermelon. Not that there's a whole lot of room anyway, but it's full. SPX 500. Let's see. Good morning, Lorenzo. How are we today? Let me see what we got on the. We can go down to a 5 minute chart. Wasn't inflation data? Didn't it come out at 8:30? It don't look like nothing happened. Is it 8:30 that it comes out, or maybe it comes out later? I really thought it was 8:30. This long wick is all that happened. It's looked like a blip. Is that candle still growing, or am I moving? Maybe it's still growing because I'm expanding the lines. Okay, there we go. I see it. This was a long wick down, but let me make it a little bit bigger. Come on, give me the plus sign. There we go. I need to make sure all of this is
Yeah, the PPI
also.
data came out.
Did it? Okay. Let's see what we got. I figured it would have come out by now. I need to refresh this so I can see what it says. Core PPI month over month, it was zero point 0.4. It's green, so people are going to be excited about that, I'm sure. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen there. I can't see what I need to see. Core PPI 0.4%. They expect it to be 0.2%. And PPI month over month is going to be 0.2%. I feel like, and this is just me, the other day, what was it? Wednesday, the market ran and ran like crazy at the end of the day, like run up out of nowhere, right? I feel like that was a setup for the drop that we were going to feel yesterday. So the people who wanted, the market makers, the market manipulators ran it up so that they could get whatever they were going to get. Yesterday was Thursday. It dropped off the bone. Basically, everything fell all down. I feel like this is again my speculation that it fell all down yesterday in anticipation of today's data so it can run back up. Basically, because when it falls, people have sold. That's the selling. That's what makes it fall. People then go back. When I say people, big institutions, not like me, you people, like people go, and then when it drops like that, they'll go buy up, put a bunch of buy orders in at a low point, and it'll run right back up. So those are my speculations. Um, Lorenzo said, I wish crowd dropped a little more to fill the gaps. Did you get in on the crowd dropping? Okay, so at 10 o'clock, we're going to have preliminary University of Michigan consumer sentiment and University of Michigan inflation expectations. Those are red folders. After, well, red and orange. After that, we're going to quote unquote be clear for the day, and we'll see. Well, good job, Lorenzo. Woo woo. Okay, so that's what went on. That's what's going on with that. As far as Jamie, I want to make sure when I'm looking for the biggest movers of the day, I guess it shows up on CNBC like as time passes because I never know what time they're going to put up here the biggest movers. Do you have a time that you know that they do that?
I don't know what time, but I usually just
Mm-hmm.
scroll down and look for it on the left side.
Oh, okay, I'll do that. Scroll down. Looks like Friday analysts called Tesla downgraded to a sale. Ooh, after the big run up, now it'll be going back down. It's like the elevator. JP Morgan likes Netflix into earnings. Maybe that's going to make Netflix pop back up. How did JP indicated it too? How did he indicate? How did JP indicate it? Maybe you'll tell us something we didn't already know. Oh, here's the stocks making biggest moves. Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Tesla, Carvana. I've been looking at Carvana on that alerts list all week. I don't really trade Tesla, even though it does offer lots of opportunities. JP Morgan had earnings this morning. Wells Fargo did not, but it's probably sympathy. You got Citi. We can look at it. Citi had earnings. JP Morgan had earnings, and one more. What was the third one? Come on and put it on the screen for us, baby. JP Morgan, Citibank, and Wells Fargo. So, okay, that would be why Wells Fargo and JP Morgan would be movers this morning. We have to go look and see what they did. BNY, Fastenal, and Ericsson all have earnings this morning as well. Let's look at what Adam had to say since I'm already in here. I'm going to change this to the side so that we don't cover up any of the words. Yesterday, SPX shorts triggered at 56.15 for the first time in 10 days for a 40-point sell to 55.75 support. As posted, 4 p.m., 55.75 is relief pop zone before the next leg down, and we got to 55.92 first up. So basically, it popped and went back up. Plan today, as long as 55.75, 55.97, as long as we're greater than 55.75, then 55.97, 603, 613, 617 are all in play. If 55.75 fails, then we sell to 55.69 and 55.56. Okay. If you're trading XSP, you got 562 on the call credit spread side and 555 on the put credit spread side. The gap between ES and SPX is 55 points still. It's about that. It might be 53 or something like that, but it's very close to 55 points. Listen, yesterday, every day, Adam's numbers be spot on, right? Y'all need to know that if you're trading SPX seriously, then Adam Mancini is a place that you may want to check. He does put out a newsletter that you pay for by the month. I feel like it's a little expensive, but it's I don't think it's too expensive. I think it's good value because he provides a lot of information in there. So if you're interested in seeing that more often, he has a way to do that all over in his thing. If you trade SPX regularly, then that's something you might want to get in on. It's a little wordy because he's definitely, verbose, but it includes everything you want to see. I feel like I want to see what his face looks like because all I've ever seen of Adam Mancini is tweets and newsletters. I'd like to see what does he look like? What is he, these regular old people, behind the scenes. Is he on YouTube?
Yeah.
And his face is on YouTube?
Yeah.
Some people go on YouTube and be faceless. So I just was.
No, I thought he was on YouTube, but it's not
I'll have
Facebook.
to go look. I have to go. Well, whether maybe you find a link and put it in the chat so we can see, because I'd like to see that. That was my last piece of watermelon, so now I'm done with that. That way it won't be sitting right here in the way. Okay. We got the biggest moves. Let's go look at some, put ourselves back on the screen. There we go. We're not going, well, we could look at the banks and see what's going on over there. Tesla, Carvana, I'm not sure what the and more is, but I'm fine with those 2 or 3 of them. SPX 500, we'll go back to that. Just kind of hovering at this point, right in the zone where it was before the date, except for this big old dip right here. Dip, baby, dip. The VIX is pow. There we go. The VIX is at 12.7. It's down 1.7% or 0.22 is where the VIX is. Janae said, yes, send the link. She's curious too. I got a picture in my head. I don't want to know if the picture in my mind matches. JP Morgan profit surge, but drop in key revenue source shows challenges, or I'm sure they mean challenges. Morning, Tanya. How we doing? I feel like the banks are going to do fine because this high interest environment is for them. Even though, I guess the drawback to the high interest environment is people who, companies or whatever, who default on their loans. And that means that the banks have to manage the defaults. But if it costs more to get the money and people still want to get the money, then the people who benefit from that is the banks, right? U.S. futures are steady as big bank earnings roll in. Markets are saying what Powell can't about the Fed. Okay. Whatever the Fed does next will be seen as political. I sure hope not. I do like the fact that the Fed is supposed to not be political. I notice I said supposed to be. AI may be a hot topic, but how fast are companies adopting? They're not adopting, but so fast. It's like anything else. When you have big businesses, they can't adopt, but so quick, because that means you either got to train everybody and spend that money, or have some key leaders. But it's hard to turn a big ship, right? Cruise ships don't turn as fast as sailboats, and they don't turn as fast as speedboats. If you're a small company, small thing, and you can make a turn because you don't have as many people. But when you got a big, massive company, it's hard to turn a big ship, right? It takes a little bit longer. So may not be, maybe they'll have AI departments or something, but hard to turn a big ship. Okay. I'm good on all of that. Citigroup is about to report second quarter earnings. We just had Wells Fargo shares tumble after net interest income falls short of estimate. I'm thinking that stuff for houses definitely is going to be one that's not going to be like all fancy dancy, because the housing market, a lot is not being said, but that's a key indicator of what's going on. People who have houses who will start to default. I think one thing we're going to see this year too is, I'm not sure for those of you who are in the tax liens and those things, but I believe that there's going to be a lot more defaults on property taxes this year because property, and the reason is, if somebody has to pick between keeping the lights on and keeping groceries bought and keeping their car, they're not necessarily going to be, or keeping the mortgage paid, not going to necessarily be as pushed to pay property taxes, because with property taxes, there's no credit impact with you not paying your property taxes. And it takes it takes time before that comes back around, to get you. If you don't pay your lights every month, they're going to come at you. Your car, same thing. Property taxes, you got time. I mean, when I say you got time, you've got, a couple years really before you got to worry about, somebody might buy your tax lien certificate, but even if somebody buys your certificate, they can't take your house for, a couple years. So you wouldn't be worried about that. I just see that being a place where people would, given the choices to where to put their money, the property taxes wouldn't necessarily be the first place to put their money. So when that's a situation, there'll be people who won't pay them. And so there are going to be more of those, more tax liens and things like that available. Thursday's biggest analyst calls: Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, AMD, Uber. Well, I want to look at Uber this morning, McDonald's, and Broadcom. All right, let's go to the charts. See what we see on our charts. Let me see what indicator am I turning on. Okay. What are we looking at first? If you got something you want us to look at, Morning Ward. Lorenzo says, yes, they have to have business cases and tools to create that make them money. Yep. Everything is political, unfortunately. That's very true. Good morning, Stacy. Good morning, LL. Everything is political. I do agree with that. The Fed is supposed to be exempt of that, though. When I said and I'm saying supposed to be, supposed to be. Looks like SPX 500 has already started to pop, going in the upwards direction. Let's go look at Carvana. Carvana was it on our list? No. You know where I keep seeing Carvana is I keep seeing Carvana on the peak bot list. On the peak bot alerts, I keep seeing Carvana. And yesterday, if anybody looked at the alerts list yesterday, it showed an expiration for next Friday. All right, Lorenzo. It shows an expiration for next Friday. So yesterday and today, it will do that. First 3 days, it shows the current week. And Thursday and Friday, it shows the future week. The indices alerts system, actually, they've been having trouble with it. Not that the ones that are showing up are accurate. But so you'll see sometimes that the bottom, some of them have been blacked out, and that's because they're having to update their data source, because what they're using for data was keeping up, but it now seems to be that it's not keeping up. So they're updating the data source to see. So if you ever go to the alerts and it's not fully populated, and y'all have Dylan, if you're in my membership, you have Dylan he's in our Telegram, the membership Telegram. You can always send a message and say, at Dylan, the watch list is messed up or whatever, and then they'll look at it, because of course they're running a whole company, so they're not watching that watch list all day like some of us are. All right, so here we go. This is Carvana. Carvana looks like we have an uptrend going here. Looks like we got us a nice little uptrend. Come on. There we go. Move it. Okay. Big old gap here that got partially filled. We had a gap from there to there. Partially. It's just only a little bit of the gap left. So I'll just mark the little bit. I usually mark the entire thing, but I'm just gonna mark just that little bit that's left. Right. And it is coming out of a supply area. So this is another piece we've got. Let's get us a line up here, a horizontal line. If you want to go as high as 136, you can, or you can actually pull back to the top of these boxes, top of the, where the opens were, and that's at 133. I probably would still go Carvana to the upside because of the trend that we're in. Even if it comes back down here and bounces, I'd still look at Carvana going upwards. See something right in here where the prices have stopped a couple times. 128. Pre-market, the price is at 131. So if you're looking at Carvana, 0 DTE or next week, 0 DTE or next week, I'd go with put credit spread at below 128. Yep. at or below 128. That would be my thoughts for Carvana. Jamie, anything to that?
No, I'm good.
Good.
I
Okay.
will say that it keeps bouncing off that resistance
This one here.
um, for the seller zone a little bit higher.
Oh, okay.
Where you have it
Mm-hmm.
marked. Well, those are
136.
some pretty interesting rejections.
Mm-hmm. Well, 136. So you could turn it if you wanted into an iron condor because it is continuing to reject at that 136 area. Let's add that at above 136. Carvana shows up on that alerts list every single day. So, and the alerts list is for the top 10 trends, top 10 trend spreads, not trends, top 10 trend spreads, like stocks with the top 10 trend spreads. Whew. Hi. Okay. Next one we're gonna look at what was that?
Before we leave Carvana,
Okay.
doesn't that look like a cup and handles formation pattern
Let's go back
formation?
to it and see. Hey, how you just gonna revert back? Revert.
Sorry.
No, that was not you, me. This I put it on
Oh,
one thing, left it, and then it went all away. So the cup here and the handle, then you would say
that
over
that
here.
would be the handle.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This makes the cup, right? And then
No,
this
that
would
makes
be
the handle.
this makes the handle.
I was
Oh,
thinking that looked like the handle.
okay. So if we really bring this together, you're saying this, all of this is the cup?
I'm wondering
Huh? I can kind of see it.
what were you saying was a cup and handle?
I was looking at this being the cup, and then the handle was forming.
Got you. Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
Not sure. Fast. Okay, Rory, come back here. So Fastenal, you were looking at it because they had earnings this morning, right? Lorenzo, let me go to a smaller time frame so we can see what happened in the pre-market. Well, it had a nice little run up here. Has had a nice little run up. It closed over here at $64, and it is currently at, well, is it $68? Where's the, that must be it. It's currently at 68.25. So it went up $4. Then did you trade it for earnings? I don't really do earnings because it's too much of a lotto. It filled the gap. Okay, well then now we got to see what it does. It's definitely going to gap up at the open. We talked a little bit in our community last night in our training about when it gaps up. Do we gap up and then pull back down to the pivots, or does it gap up and keep going? I feel like I want one of these to be on the pivot, but let me move it to the other side. I know the pivots are over here. We're looking at fast. Yep, current price is up here at this 68 mark, so it's definitely going to gap up. Now you have to see when it gaps up, will it gap up and then come back down to fill the gap it creates immediately, or will it gap up and keep going? Those are the things you have to consider there. But that fly is still in here. Oh, I fussed at my husband last night. He went into the garage and left the door open, and the fly was like, "Oh, it feels good in there. Let's go see what y'all are cooking." There was a gap. It's basically in this little gap here. It's in it right now. There's a gap from May 3rd to May the 6th, gap that was created over the weekend. And it's right at that price right now. So it could very well, notice you're right here at a sell zone, 68.54. You're right here at some resistance, right? From back in the end of April and the beginning of May. So this very well could act as resistance and push it back down into the gap that it's creating overnight. Might provide an opportunity. The market pulled back and then they didn't beat last earnings by 1 cent. You said I didn't. I had it in February and lost big on it. Oh my goodness, the market pulled back and then they didn't beat last earnings. At this point, they beat these earnings, but it may be a pop and drop. So I keep an eye on it. It might provide an opportunity. I'm putting it on my list. It's something to circle and to come back to and look at. I'll come back to it. Was there anything else that was on here that was for the looking this morning? I'll be looking through today at the alerts for today to see what trade I will look at for myself over the weekend. I'll see what's up with that. Pan W seems to have risen to the conversation point yet again. Pan W continuing to the downside, going into this gap fill. It's right at it. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Pre-market, it's at 323 or 332, looks like 332. Maybe wants to come on into this gap. It dipped the toes in, dip. Maybe go in here. You probably need, this gap is from 325 to 330. So it's about a 5-point gap. And I don't know if let me see. I don't know what the ATR is. I need another thing pops up down here. It's not popping up. Well, tell us what the ATR is so we can see how many days. If we know the ATR of Pan W, you could see how many days it may take to get through the gap. But as sellers, we get something on the call credit spread side. Go right up here where this resistance was.
$9.32.
Is the ATR?
Yep.
Oh, it can go on through there in a day if it so chooses.
And in terms of news, if anybody's trading Pan W, you definitely want to pay attention to what's happening with Cisco.
What is happening with Cisco? Is there anything? But what is happening? Is there anything?
There's always some type of, either expansion or collaboration with one of the big tech companies or something going on behind the scenes. So, it may not say Palo Alto, but because they're competitors in the same space, that could possibly affect them.
Okay. So there's Pan W to the downside. It's an outside day. So an outside, for the people who are in the strat, the outside day beast means that the yesterday's candle is bigger than the previous day's candle. So this was a 2-3, could be a reversal back to the downside, to the upside. You basically can look to see which way, but it does look like it wants to go on down and get into the gap, but it's up a little bit now. That doesn't necessarily mean it won't go back down into the gap though. Let's go look at Cisco. Cisco has a gap to the upside that it's trying to fill. From the close to the open. Actually, that would have filled all of that. Okay. This is the gap that still remains. There's part of it. Yesterday's candle did fill some of the gap, but it's not all the way filled. All right. The gap really would have been here. That would have been the full gap. And over half of it has been filled, but there's still some left at the top. So Cisco may go on up some more. Pan W might go on with it. Wells Fargo. Let's take a look at some banks. I got you, Janae. Let me look at the pre-market on the bankers. I think I have this set to regular trading. There we go. Let me get some extended. Wells Fargo had a big old drop, baby. Biggest movers. It doesn't help the inflation stuff with the banks. It's just there's so many things that fall into the economics of all the different pieces you got to remember when you're dealing with the economics of things. But now if Wells Fargo is doing its thing, it's kind of hovering now. Wells Fargo will go there. Now, all the other banks are probably going to be sympathy. So you'll want to keep that in mind, except for looks like Citibank had a pop on theirs and then a pullback. Citibank, Wells Fargo, and JP, is it JPM? JP Morgan, Chase. They dropped in their earnings and recovered quickly. They back up higher than they were where they closed yesterday. I feel like with the banks, you can look at those today and determine whether you think you like something for next week. I don't really do zero DTE credit spreads unless it's on a cash settled. So I would possibly do like an XSP, an SPX, not even SPX really. I don't really do that as much anymore. XSP, Jamie likes the RUT. There's OEX and the VIX. I don't trade those. NDX. NDX might not be. Have you ever looked at NDX, Jamie, to trade?
Hated it.
You didn't like it?
Yeah, I was not a fan.
What did you not like about it?
I really didn't like the way it moved. And also its options chain wasn't as clear and consistent. In terms, sometimes you look at option chain and it'd be like NA, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I kept seeing little stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense in terms of the way it was laid out. I like the chart. The formation seemed to be clear. But yeah, when I was looking at the option chain, it wasn't as consistent with the data. So, and I mean, even though technically with the numbers, so like when you do NDX, like the price that you see will be like $20,211.
Okay.
Like so your strike prices are like look super huge.
Yeah. What were the spreads? Really, 5 spreads or 10 spreads? What were the spreads?
The spreads were 5 spreads still.
Okay.
But then of course, but then like when I'm talking about like the numbers and NA, like when you're looking at the volume, you might get that NA not applicable a lot.
Right.
Depending on what's happening. I was like, nah, I'm good. Which probably just means you can only trade it. You can only see all that stuff probably once the market opens.
Right. That could be it. Plus it could be if it's not there, it's just you can't trade those strikes. Maybe some strikes aren't tradable.
And that's possible too. But it wasn't, with the other stuff, at least with the other ones that are cash settled, they were a little bit more consistent with the information. I didn't have as many question marks. So.
Looks like with Palantir in the pre-market, it's at 27.29. So it is down near this support area right now. That could be a plus because it could definitely bounce off of it. It's right here at support. It dropped a bit in the pre-market. Looks like it was at 27.64 when it closed, and it's at 27.29 right now. But I would look definitely if you're going to do. I still would go with a put credit spread. Palantir seems to be getting a little bit of attention yet again. It's coming out of the boxes. Palantir had fallen down into the 10s and the 15s. So now that it's up in the 27s, it's at least moving on up a bit because it was down here. What's this, $20? And I know it was back lower than this even. But y'all see Palantir will jump around. And you're like, what? Where? Come on. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. But put credit spread. Definitely, I'd go below this 27, probably down to even 26. This is a resistance at 26.44 or support. I would maybe do a put credit spread at no higher than 26. It probably has a 0.5. It probably has 0.5 PCS. 25.5, 26.5. I would get just above this little resistance support area right here. It was resistance back here. Now it'll be support. I would do that. Okay. What else was on my list? Target. Target is also on my list. I feel like Target is supposed to have a gap fill, but I don't see a gap to fill. Am I missing something? I feel like Target. It's got a big old hammer on the week, though. Did I write gap next to that? I did. Why did I write gap next to Target? I don't see a gap. Y'all see something I'm missing? I'll go back to the daily chart.
On the 4 hour, I don't see a gap until 155.
Let's go to look at that.
But I don't see nothing else that would be. When did you mark it?
I heard it mentioned and was like, I would come look at it, but I don't see a gap.
Yeah, on the 4 hour, there's a little bit of a gap, I guess, from the close of the previous day. But yeah, I don't see anything that we would be worried about.
155 would be up here, but it looks like these gaps are all filled. I don't see a gap there. I do see it had a good day yesterday, though. Woo! While everything else was going down, Target was like, nah, me. They might be having a drop day.
I'm looking at June 3rd on the 4 hour.
June 3rd on the 4 hour. Okay.
There's a gap from 155. It's a small gap, but it shows up as one. I got 155.38 to like 155.98.
It looks like it was filled though by the if you count, you know what though, this might be the thing. Let me take it off of, I am on the 4 hour chart, but I'm taking it off of extended day. Because when you put on extended hours, stuff looks different, looks a little different.
Oh.
Yep, I do see one up. I see one up here, 155. I'm on the 4 hour. I don't see 150. I don't see a gap there. Am I missing it? Well, June 3rd, which is right in here.
We're on Target, right?
Yeah.
TGT, right?
TGT.
Yeah.
I'm
on you see
you looking at my screen. I don't see a gap.
Yeah, I'm looking at a 4 hour chart for Target on June 3rd at 1 a.m. candle.
Oh, that's the thing. See, I turned off the extended hours.
Okay.
But even when I was on extended hours, I still didn't see it.
All right. Well, I'll screenshot it and send it to you.
Okay, let me expand this. Maybe it'll show up a little bit better if I expand this. June the 3rd, right here. But then I do see that that on June the 4th, that the price action in the pre-market closed it up.
Okay.
Anybody else see something I don't see? So I'm in this area. Let me draw something. In this area. But right here, after the gap on June the 3rd, then the candle from June the 4th closed it up in the pre-market. That's the only one I see. Well, I didn't do Amazon yet, Tanya. I will do it. I will do it. Okay. Okay. Wait. Now that changed things. I was talking about yesterday's Target candle. Oh, I must be in the wrong area because I'm saying this is not even right. It was showing that because all of this gap from March got filled with price action. Then there was another earnings gap in May, got filled back with price action. And if I look here at this gap here, it got filled with price action. Said Target had a green day yesterday though, while everything else was falling off the bone. Target was saying they're not doing they might be having a drop off day, but I'm not included. I'm not jumping in. And it's currently at 152.02 its current price. So it's got a resistance here at it's 151.97, which is already past that, looks like in the pre-market. I would see this area. Well, it's when I say it's past it, it's pre-market, so it could definitely still respond to the area. It is currently at this resistance zone, so it could definitely hit that like it did yesterday and pull back. You see it actually hit that resistance yesterday and pulled back some. But if it can get past that 151.94, which it currently is in the pre-market, if it can continue past that point, then we've got some targets at 154.22, which is a couple dollars up, 154.44, and up as high as 156. So target could keep going. I don't know what gap it's supposed to be filling, but it could definitely keep going. Let's go look at Amazon. Well, Amazon, Jeff Bezos and all the people who are selling their stocks, I think he sold, I saw something last night that showed that Jeff Bezos sold a bunch of stocks, and someone else, was it Amazon? Maybe let me get my company right now. Nope, take it back. It was something at NVIDIA. Somebody at NVIDIA. Two big wigs at NVIDIA sold a bunch of their shares. All right, so Amazon was not able to sustain up here. Wasn't able to push past 200. It kept trying, but wasn't able, and finally gave up the ghost and dropped down to as low as 192.86, which was this support area, 192, now 193, and then I'm anticipating it will go on back up, which is currently at 194. It closed at 195. It's currently at 194.77. Hopefully it'll go ahead at these prices. People will go ahead and buy more and send it on its way. I closed my Amazon put credit spread though, because there's absolutely no reason to just hang around and hope. So I followed my trading plan and did my 3X because I took in. Actually, I want to say I took in. It wasn't even my full trading plan. I took in $100 on Amazon in premiums because I did an iron condor, and I closed it yesterday for 140. So it was more like a 2. Wasn't even a 2X. It was like a 1.5. But I had, well, what did I have? Let me look at my paper. I wrote it down, Janae. I wrote it down. I had 197.5. 197.5 as my put strike, and we're currently at 194. Not that Amazon can't decide it's on a horse today and go back up to 197.5, but that was not something I wanted to contend with. I don't know what is the plus minus number on Amazon for the day. I felt like it wasn't going to be enough. Jamie, you on your screen? What's the plus minus number for Amazon?
2.06.
See, so even if it went up $2 from here, we'd be at 196. Barely at 197. So I would be closer because I had 195, 197.5. So I'd be in the zone, but I was like, I mean, right now it's just below the bottom of my strike, but I was like, I'm good. I'm good on this one. I'm gonna walk away. I took in 100. I paid 140 to exit. So at this point, it was a $40 loss, which would have been better than $150 loss.
In terms of events, don't forget Prime Day is 16th and the 17th of July.
It is. Okay, so keep that in mind. It probably will pop. Prime Day will pop, but I had it expiring today.
No, I'm just saying, generally speaking, for anybody trading.
Yeah, that is good. Prime. I was thinking though about what kind of stuff I want to get for Prime Day. I don't really have anything on my buy list. I didn't have anything on my list. Well, I was thinking about it though. Like, what do you want? Okay, so that's Amazon. Oh, I didn't talk to Tanya about Amazon for next week. As Jamie was saying, if you're going to do Amazon for next week, I agree that I probably would do a put credit spread because I believe it's going to bounce back up with Prime Day and all that goes along with that. And we also do see that it's on an uptrend. So let me put a line here. I would definitely look for something on the put credit spread side. That big old monster candle right there was disrespectful. But I would go with the put credit spread. But you can still see though that there is 200 is a strong resistance. So when if it's going to have to breeze through 200 next time. It's like it's not going to be able to just cruise through. It's going to have to move on and get going if it wants to go through because it hasn't been able to breach that 200. I'm not saying, I'm not suggesting that you necessarily go and get a call credit spread, but you can see that it's not been able to push past 200. So it might not be a bad idea. And then just be prepared with whatever, but it's going, you might take in some decent premiums. Okay. So yes, Tanya said Prime Day was not on my radar. Yes, you're welcome. I know you like Amazon and Google. We like those. Let's see. I think Ward had Kroger in the list. Ward said I usually buy basic stuff, dishwashing liquid, soap, coffee, canned goods. Okay. This is true. That makes sense. Stuff like that you need and you can buy in larger quantity and get it faster, I guess. I'm not sure why Instagram be looking like nothing's happening over there. Just look like it's a black screen. It says I'm live. Okay, there it is. Okay, so need Kroger to get over 55. Okay, we're on Kroger right now. Kroger does have a gap that's not all the way filled. It's partially filled, but not all the way. All the way. Going all the way. Who knows that song? All the way. Going all the way. Y'all know that song? This is the part of the gap that is still remaining to be filled. The darker part still remains. The light part is the whole thing. The darker part is what yet remains. Okay, so you want it above 55. Yeah, 52. And at this point, it's going to have a tough time getting above 55. It's got a big old resistance here at 53. A big old resistance at 53. See this big old monster candle that filled this gap over here. And we're coming into this pivot place. Current, it's 52 and some change. I don't know. It's going to need a push to get over 55 for sure, because you've got even several resistance lines on the pivot between here and 55. So I would go with I should look at it. It's been in this zone for a while, so you really could anticipate, and this isn't a big zone, some iron condor action, because you've got above 53. If you're going to trade it as a seller, you've got call credit spread 53, 54. You can go a little higher if you want to, but if you feel like you need a little more room, I don't know if I'd go as low as this down here for the put credit spread, but you can definitely get in this zone. Put credit spread, I'd probably go at or below. This support right here is around 52. That's what I would look at. That's a pretty good support. You can see back here, it's had some support, and then here as well for 52. So I would, if I was looking at Kroger, I'd look at Iron Condor. I don't know what kind of money Kroger pays to go out for a week. But there you go with that. All righty. Did I have anything else on my list? I did. I had one more. I had Coca-Cola. Now, Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Pepsi had earnings yesterday, and Coca-Cola could be like a sympathy play. Definitely got some more room to the upside. This is 2 up. It might want to continue on up further. Let's look at the weekly chart. Got a hammer on the week. This is a gap fill above us that would need to be, if you're looking at the weekly chart. That gap still yet remains from, what is this? 63.59 to 63.77. Not a big gap, 20-something cent. But it still can go on through there. Let's look at Pepsi to see what it looks like. Pepsi's also a hammer on the week. Long wicks. I want to move on up a little higher. Move on up a little higher. Yeah. Anything else we want to look at? What else did I have on my list? Anything else? Tesla, I believe, is on the slide. I want to look at NVIDIA before I go to. Apple did a pullback yesterday for anybody who's looking at and trading Apple. Now, Tesla, see how it ran, but then it had, this is a shooter on the day, shooter on the week. Let me change over to the daily chart. That was yesterday. And Tesla, I guess they said they weren't doing, they pushed back the date for those robo-taxis, and folks was all getting in on the robo-taxis. So pushing back that date, they didn't see that as a positive. And there's a little gap here that it's trying to get into. The current price is 250, 235 is the current price. And there's another gap down here that it may want to come on and get. This is the daily chart. That's a low gap, 210, 212. Woo, some folks gonna be hurt if it get down this low again. But look at all these days that it went up with no problems. It can, we take the stairs up and the elevator down. Stairs up and elevator down. If nothing else, it may want to get into this gap. It's already lower. It's already $6 lower than it was at close yesterday. That monster don't mind moving. Don't mind moving. And this was NVIDIA. This was NVIDIA yesterday. It also looked almost a little bit like Tesla as far as that. A lot of stuff had this big old candle yesterday, though. Took out two gaps. Pew, pew, all in one swoop. Knock them out. Knock them out. Took that gap out. Are you going to go or no? Okay. There we go. Took out both those gaps. Come into, there's a little bit of support right here where it is right now, 128. At this 128.16 is just a little bit past that in the pre-market. So it really could use that as a move point. It could move on back up. Trying to see where I see supports. This is NVIDIA we're looking at. I did see somebody the other day talk about putting NVIDIA puts on the list for like 2 or 3 months out. And riding it right on back down. I think it's worth noting that there's things, you know, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, that NVIDIA had so much attention and stuff, but there's other stocks and things to look at that are going to offer a lot of opportunities. That could offer opportunities. Let me go with that. That could offer opportunities. This is ARM. ARM fell off yesterday too, and it's got another gap down. It's got another gap. It's got a gap down here. It's going to probably try to get at and fill. Part of it got filled with the price action of the subsequent day. But there's another piece of a gap down here it might want to come get. This is ARM. ARM definitely costs less than, well, NVIDIA is about the same price now. NVIDIA is in the hundreds now, isn't it? We'll see you. Have a good old day. That's ARM. AMD. All these are going to seem to be like similar chart. AMD didn't fall off anywhere near as bad as its compadres. The compadres fell off bad. The market just opened. Sure did. 9:30. Ding, ding, ding. I don't talked us right into 9:30. That wasn't the plan. That wasn't our plan. But then now that we're here, that candle changed. I was like, wait a minute. What is we doing? Okay, this SPX opened with a little bit of a gap up this morning because we closed at 55.84 and it's currently at 55.90. A little bit of a gap up. Tesla gap down, but it's coming back up. I did show Adam's numbers. You want to see them again? I showed Adam's numbers kind of early in the process. Here we go. Yesterday, SPX shorts triggered at 56.15 for the first time in 10 days for a 40-point sell to 55.75. As posted 4 p.m., 55.75 is relief pop zone before next leg down, and we got to 55.92 first up. Plan today, as long as we're greater than 55.75, 55.97, 56.03, 56.13, and 17 are in play. If 55.75 fails, then we sell to 55.69 and 55.56. XSP 562 on the call credit spread side and 555 on the put side. On the put side, Tesla, that was it failed and it's going right on into that gap. Okay, let's move us forward. I really like to have us off this call before we get to market open. Vertical credit spreads training available at the website. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want a free charting checklist or free charting cheat sheet, you can go to chartyourway to 100k.com and get you a copy. If you're new to options 411, little training class on unlocking the basics of options for buyers and sellers. E2T membership always open. This weekend we're doing cash flow. I don't think I have the cash flow graphic here. This weekend we're doing cash flow 101 on Saturday. If you're interested, Jamie, it's open to the public. Open to the public. Anybody can come to play cash flow 101 with us. It is a blast. It's a gamified way of doing real life stuff, real life finances. All right, declaration. I declare I'm a great trader. I declare I'm a successful trader. I declare I'm a focused trader. I declare my wins exceed my losses. My accounts grow more and more each week. I'm a wise and knowledgeable trader who does not trade my emotions. I make smart and lucrative decisions for my portfolios. And I am level-headed. Lord, it's you who gives us the power to get wealth. You teach our hands to war and our fingers to fight. Help us today to trade wise and strategically in order to fulfill this purpose. Give us more than enough so we can have what we need and enough to be a blessing to others. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, amen. Jamie, you have anything you want to say on the way out the door?
Nope, I guess yes. Be aware of the 10 o'clock turnaround for today. Just keep your eye on that as we trade.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. Everybody, we want to do 3 things today. We're going to stay green. We're going to get this money and we're going to have a great green day. I will see you all in the market. All righty. Goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye.